What's up, everybody? I am Jaspreet Singh, and welcome to the Minority Mindset, and welcome back to our new Monday edition. Yes, this segment is still new, so I'm gonna keep referring to it as our new edition. Today, I wanna do something different that we haven't really done yet. I wanna answer a question that we got on our channel, and so if you have other questions that you'd like me to answer, let me know in the comments below. But let's get into today's question. YZ asked, what's your perspective on the potential crash we're going to face come 2020? I'm told by some to take all my money out of the stock market because I will lose what I gained, but I'm also told to leave it. I'm confused, ... sad face. So the question is, if there's a crash, because there's been a lot of talk about a crash coming, how do I protect my money and my investments for that? Let's start by looking at what people are saying and who's predicting this 2020 crash. Okay, even with just a little bit of research, it's not hard to see why people think that there might be a recession or a crash come 2020. Here on CNBC, there's this article titled, "The US economy could enter a, quote, mild recession in 2020, investor says." I'm not sure how you define mild recession. I mean, this isn't Taco Bell where you have mild, medium, hot, but okay. Mild recession. And then this investor goes on to say that our view still is that we will have a mild US recession in 2020, Miller told CNBC's Squawk Box. On Yahoo Finance, there's this article titled, "Why the Next Recession is Likely to Happen in 2020 and What It Will Mean for Housing." And then in this article, you can see where it's highlighted. It says that the longest uninterrupted economic expansion in US history, which is what we're in right now, will probably end with a recession in 2020, according to a panel of more than 100 experts. Oh my God, crazy experts. This article is titled, "Morgan Stanley Sees Credible Bear Case for a US Recession." Remember, a bear market is when the market is coming down. Morgan Stanley is a huge bank, and they stated that over here, Zettner said that the current credible bear case probability is about 20%, but that could change quickly. So it looks like Morgan Stanley is entering the meteorology, weather forecasting business. I don't know how you have a 20% chance for a recession, but okay. Here on Fortune, it says that a majority of economists think that the next recession will come by the 2020 election. And if you scroll down, where it's highlighted, it says right now, only 15% of the participants expect a recession in 2019, but by the end of 2020, the number raises to 60%. Oh man. Here on USA Today, sorry, there's only a couple more. It says, is the US already in a recession? This economist thinks it's possible. And Gary Schilling, the economist and financial analyst, who is credited with predicting several recessions over the last 40 years, thinks the US is in a relatively mild slump. And finally, on CNN Business, it says that America's CFOs are bracing for a 2020 recession. And it says that nearly half of chief financial officers in the United States are predicting the American economy will be in a recession by the middle of next year, 2020. So you can see why it's very easy for somebody to believe that this crash is going to happen in 2020, because all these experts and all these investors and all these economists and all these analysts and all these banks and CEOs are saying that this crash is going to happen in 2020. And I'm going to give you one more example. So we spend a lot of money in our business, and I use a Capital One credit card. And so we have a representative from Capital One that helps service us and our credit card. And I had a meeting with my Capital One rep maybe a month or so ago, and we were just talking, and I like to really get to know how these reps work and really how they are compensated, because I want to know what's their incentive to get me to use their credit card more, and kind of just really see how their business model works. So I'm getting to know this guy, and he was telling me that he doesn't get compensated based on the number of cards that he opens up. He's compensated based on the amount of money that his clients spend on his credit card, on our Capital One credit cards. So the more money that his businesses spend, the more money he makes, which makes sense because every time you swipe your credit card, the credit card company gets paid because they charge the merchant a little fee. So he's telling me that in 2017, he had a certain goal to hit a certain, I forget, like maybe 10, 20, or $30 million in total spending from all of his businesses. And if he hits that number or goes above that number, he makes more money. And then in 2018, that goal went up a few $1 million. In 2019, that goal went up another few $1 million. But in 2020, that goal that he has to hit is going to come down a few $1,000,000 because Capital One said that they are predicting an economic slowdown in 2020. So his goal as the representative for the Capital One credit card is coming down. Now, I think I laid the good framework and groundwork for the question to understand where this person's coming from. So let's get into the answer. What are my thoughts on this 2020 crash and what should you do with your money? Do I think we're in for some sort of economic crash or recession? Yes. We have been in the longest growth period or bull market, which is a market going upwards in the history of time. And the economy moves in cycles. Sometimes the economy goes up, called the bull market, like I just said, and sometimes the economy comes down, which is called a bear market. So we've been going up for a long time. And so a lot of people are predicting that because we're late in this business cycle, it is time for some sort of recession or correction. And pretty much every analyst that I've read says that the reason we will have this crash or recession is not because of the United States itself, it's because of issues happening overseas or in other countries. Like this US and China trade tension is going to hurt the Chinese economy, which could affect us. The German auto market is slowing down, and you have countries like Turkey and Argentina who have shrinking economies. And so all these things that are happening overseas are going to affect the United States, and that's the reason why our economy is going to slow down. And that's why you keep hearing all these things about the Federal Reserve cutting interest rates, because the Fed only cuts interest rates when they want to stimulate the economy, because cutting interest rates makes borrowing money cheaper and easier. So if a business needs more money, they can go borrow money for next to nothing because interest rates have already been very low. And then they can take this money and invest it in their business and hire more employees. So people are saying that this is happening only because of international issues. Now, while the US economy has been strong, we have this low unemployment rate, even though a lot of people might not be able to get the jobs that they want or the pay rates that they really want. And we have a lot of businesses that are booming. It doesn't really show the full picture of what's happening at the consumer level. If we take a quick snapshot of the state of consumers in America, we'll see that although, businesses are doing well and the unemployment is low, consumers are not necessarily doing very great, and we're not very set up to handle a recession very well. So this is actually a little old. This is from 2017, but household debt surpassed the record level reached during the 2008 financial crisis, and this is back in May of 2017. Let's move to something a little bit more recent. So here in February of 2019, we hit a record number of days or people behind on their car payments. It says over here in the highlighted section, more than 7 million Americans are at least 90 days behind their auto loans, according to the New York Fed. And the crazy thing about this is we're financing all these cars, and remember, cars are liabilities, are consumer expenses. They just depreciate in value. So when you finance something that loses value, you're paying twice as much to own something that's only worth half of what it was when you bought it. So if you finance a $50,000 car, you'll end up paying $70,000, $80,000 after all of your loan and interest payments, and you might be able to sell that car for $25,000 when you're done with the lease. The next, if you look at credit card debt, we have broken a record for total credit card debt in this country. We've passed $1 trillion. As of March of 2019, Americans owe a total of $1.057 trillion worth of credit card debt, and this is one of the most expensive types of debt in the world. We can't forget about student loan debt. This is back in December of 2018, and that's when we doubled the amount of student loan debt we had during the recession. And we're talking about like 10 years. So student loan debt is growing at a crazy rate. Over here it says that the student loan debt reaches a record of 1.465 trillion. I think actually just recently we passed 1.6 trillion, if I'm correct. And then finally, on the government level, U.S. national debt hit a record of $22 trillion this February, and that's the highest it's ever been. So if you add up the longest growth period in the history of time, with international economies slowing down, with this internal consumer debt issue, we're set up for a crash, but the question is when? You have to remember that all these things that are happening and problems that we're seeing with this debt crisis are not problems until they become problems. Like, it's not a problem that somebody is in debt or has a lot of credit card debt as long as they're making their payments. It becomes a problem when you lose your job and now you can't make your credit card payments and you can't make your mortgage payments, and now the bank stops making money and now the banks start to struggle, and that's when these things really become a problem. So when all these experts and analysts say that the crash is happening in 2020, it's just a guess. This is people thinking that, okay, all these problems internationally and domestically are gonna come together pretty soon and eventually cause the economy to take a shift and start to slow down. I could say that the crash is gonna start on February 21st, 2021 based on the same reasoning. I mean, it's just a guess. Everybody pretty much generally agrees that we are late in the business cycle and there are things that will trigger a recession or a crash or at least an economic slowdown, but nobody knows or can accurately predict when. If somebody says it's gonna happen in 2020, it just makes it interesting and it makes you want to read the article because that's how these businesses work. And that's probably what made you want to watch this video too, so thank you. The issue you're concerned with here is you have this money in the stock market that you've made gains on. Like, let's say you doubled your money over the last number of years and now you're not sure what to do because everybody's saying that there's an economic crash happening. So what should you do? Well, if you believe that an economic crash is going to come in 2020 and you've made a whole bunch of money, like you doubled your money, then there's nothing wrong with pulling your money out and cashing in on your profits. I mean, there's no need to be greedy. If you feel like you've made a great profit and you think the economy is going to come down, well, then this is a perfect time for you to sell. Remember, there's no way to predict when a crash is going to happen. So if you pull your money out and you take this profit and you have it in your hands and then the market continues to rally, you don't want to get into this whole FOMO panic mode and just start buying because you feel like you're missing out on all these huge gains. If you made a profit and you're happy with it, capitalize on it and don't look back. A profit is profit and green is green. Now, if you want my personal opinion, which really isn't worth much because my opinion or my guess is as good as anybody else's, I do think that we are overdue for a correction or a recession or a crash, whatever you want to call it. But 2020 is also an election year and Donald Trump will be running again for president. And the basis of his campaign, and I think a lot of things that he's going to be riding on, is the strength of the economy. And the easiest way for people to judge the strength of the economy, whether it's right or wrong, is the stock market. And so if people see that the stock market is rallying, people will assume that the economy is good. So Donald Trump will want to do whatever he can, especially during the election year, to keep the stock market high. Now, how much influence can a president have on private markets? I've always kind of really struggled with that because, there's a difference between the public sector and the private sector, but the economy is emotional, or I should say the stock market is emotional. And so if Donald Trump can keep pushing lowering interest rates and he can keep pushing things to get people excited to buy in the stock market, at least through the election, I think that's going to be his goal because that's going to help him to win this re-election. He's going to want to boost the stock market, or he's going to want to see the stock market go as high as possible during that election year so people feel like the economy is doing great. And one last thing I want to talk about before I let you go is I think a lot of people have this misconception on how crashes happen. I think a lot of people think, oh, a crash is going to happen on June 5th, 2020, and then the market's just going to tank like that. But that's not really how it works. The markets tend to it takes time for things to build up and happen. And I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. Okay, over here I pulled up a chart of the Dow Jones from the early 1990s all the way up to 2019. And we all remember the 2008 crash, right? You can see this down period right here. But this 2008 crash didn't just start on, October 1st, 2007. It started way over here. I mean, it started really in the early 2000s, but in like the mid 2000s, 2005, this is when banks knew something was wrong and they started to scramble. And you can see from 2005 until late 2007, the market continued to rally for 2 years. Like, people knew things were wrong here in 2005, but they just kept going with it. And then in 2007, 2008, that was really when the straw broke the camel's back. So this is late 2007 when the market started to come down, and then it started to come back up early 2008 because everyone thought everything was okay. But the straw that really broke the camel's back is now we had banks like Lehman Brothers filing bankruptcy. And you don't just file bankruptcy overnight. I mean, you know that something is happening for years. And that's really when people realized, oh, we hit a point where we can't return, and that's when the market really started to come down. So it took years for it to really build up until it got to this point where you couldn't return, and that was the straw that broke the camel's back. And then the market came down, and the market came down from late 2007 until the bottom is March of 2009. So we're talking about from 2007 until 2009, a year and a half of the market coming down. So this isn't something that just happens overnight, like a recession or a crash. I mean, I know the 2008 one was huge, but a crash isn't something that you just see over a week. A recession is something that really takes time to build up and develop, and then it comes down for an extended period of time. So if you watch the Minority Mindset YouTube videos every week and you're subscribed to our Minority Mindset newsletter where we tell you what's happening in the finance and business world, and by the way, this newsletter is completely free. I'll link how you can subscribe in the description below. Then this crash won't be a surprise when it happens. I mean, we can see what is causing it and we can see when it's starting, but it's just a matter of preparing for it so you can capitalize on it. And now that you watch this video, you really know how it works and what is actually going to happen and what will cause it. And now I'm interested to hear your thoughts. Do you think this crash is going to happen in 2020, which is an election year, or do you think it'll happen later or sooner? Let me know what you think, or is it not going to happen at all? Let me know why or why not in the comments below. I'm interested to see what you say, we can get a discussion going. And by the way, if you are wondering how you can prepare for an economic crash so you can profit from it, I'll link some videos for you to watch in the description below as well. And I'll see you next Monday. Well, I'll see you Wednesday and Friday, but I'll see you on this new segment next Monday.